What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about BAM! The Judging Eye by R. Scott Bakker. So, for those that don't know, this is going to be a Let's Talk spoiler video, so it's not going to be a spoiler-free review of this book. If you're looking for the spoiler-free review, I'll put a link of that video down in the description and you can go check that out. This video is really for fans of the series, people that don't know no fucking better, and as well just for myself to get this stuff out of my head, alright? Alright. Now, also before I get into this is also like calling out all you Bakker Pac-Mans and hardcores because, I'm not going to sit here and act like I understood this book 100%. In fact, Bakker has been kind of known to confuse me quite a bit, but I've never worried too much because one thing Bakker has done is really taught me as a reader to not have to have 100% understanding, to just have enough to continue on. But just being said, guys, if I say something that's out of place or wrong or whatever, feel free to fucking correct me down in those comments. I'm not going to think that you guys are being assholes by telling me what's up. Okay? All right, let's get into this shit. Okay, so it's not really a surprise that Bakker starts this thing out cool as shit, just like all his books. He knows really how to grab you right out the gate, doesn't he? And we get that little taste of battle. I wish it would have been more because, let's face it, Bakker writes the best fucking battles, and I always want more. But it's a nice little touch, it's a nice little taste. And then it throws us into that information of the scalping years. We understand that, there's this new kind of group of people known as the Scalpoi. And personally, I thought that this was badass. This was a nice extra little bit to this world. It sounds a little, dark and fucking disturbing. The whole collecting of shrink scalps. In some ways, it kind of reminded me of the Inglorious Bastards. I'm just kind of imagining Brad Pitt, running one of these fucking Scalpoi groups where he's like, I want my shrink scalps. I want 100 of them. Needless to say, Bakker has set his stage. And now he's beginning to feed us those threads. And, as I'm going to break this down in this video, I think I'm going to stick with like one thread, kind of follow it through and then move on to the next instead of trying to like recap this book as it happens. So the first thread I want to get into is going to be, let's get into Esmenet, the Nasarember children, the cult of Yatwater, and all that. Did I say Yatwater? Yatwer? Come on, that's another thing, guys. Forgive me on these pronunciations. I'm guaranteed to get some of these wrong. Okay, going into this Esmenet thread, I do want to say, Esmenet is one of those characters. She carries over from the trilogy. So somebody that we're interested in what's been going on in her life, 20 years has passed, like what is the status of Esmenet? Because this is a woman who has climbed, the status ladder from the lowest rung to the tip top, ladies and gentlemen. This is the whore become empress. But soon as the reader, we find out that being an empress and running an empire is not what it's all cracked up to be. In fact, with all the new changes in the 3 Cs, one would think that this is a la-di-da, everything's going good kind of place. But we find out, like I said, rather quickly that there are still many issues, many problems at hand. And all of them are falling at Esmenet's feet. With everything that's happened, we're still getting rumors of Fanal Cascamandri, as he is known as the Bandit Pataraja. He's still wreaking havoc. He's still causing troubles on the outskirts. Not to mention, we also have a cult, the Yatwer cult, that is popped up and is also really causing quite a few problems for Esmenet as far as her trying to run the show here, and keep everything in the 3 Cs buttoned up tight. So this basically makes Esmenet needs help, and Kellis is not there. So she really depends on Maithanet as well as her children. Now, I really enjoyed the parts with Maithanet. Like I said in my spoiler-free review, Maithanet was kind of such a big question mark that any time that I get with him is appreciated. But here we feel like immediately, just like the vibe he gives off, and maybe it's because that 20 years has passed, but even though I personally don't know more about Maithanet, just the feeling you get between Esmenet and Maithanet, like she knows him, and you get that comfortable feeling, immediately. And this was something, once again, I was kind of impressed with the way Bakker can do this kind of stuff with me not having any extra information on a character, yet really feeling the change in them and them feeling familiar is impressive. But so anyway, Maithanet and Esmonet's back and forth, really enjoyed those. Honestly, at times, I felt like they had a relationship, like something more than just a friendship, maybe. And you know what? Maybe I'm reading way too much into that. But then also, I want to roll into this part that's probably, like I said in my spoiler-free review, the most uncomfortable part of this read. And that is the Anasarimber children. Let's face it, guys. These kids are the creepiest goddamn kids you ever read, right? I mean, they are fucked up. My buddy Evan, he mentioned, remember, I don't know if you guys watched the movie Good Son with Macaulay Culkin, but Kelmomis is the good son because he's a fucking psycho. But they all are. What is Theliopa, I think is the girl's name, and she seems like a psycho. Kelmomis is obviously a fucking psycho. His idiot brother, poor idiot brother, right? He murders his idiot brother. Kelmomis has basically a playground for like his fitting. Like he can run around here in Moment and just kill people and kind of go under the radar. And it's like he digs it as well. This motherfucker really got under my skin. I kind of am beginning to understand why, like, back in the Prince of Nothing trilogy, a lot of people hated Confus, and I loved Confus. So maybe I'm starting to understand those people's, like, thoughts and feelings, because they are like, oh, Confus is a piece of shit psycho, and I'm like, I love him. But now, holy fuck, with these Anasarimber children, especially Kelmomis, I'm like, you fucking little psycho. I'm having a hard time even getting behind you. And I am the guy that loves the dark and the dastardly, the dark and delicious. But you, Kelmomis, you sick fuck. One thing about Kelmomis that I'm not so clear on is, does he love his mother? Is he killing people for his mother's love? Or is he just like completely fucking psycho and he's trying to act like he loves his mom so he doesn't get caught up in all this shit because she's probably the closest person to him, so probably the person most likely to kind of uncover all his dastardly doings. I don't know. It's still a little unclear to me, and I don't know if it's supposed to be clear yet, but Kelmomis certainly is a little fucking psychopath that is, it's just fucking, it's hard for me to read, guys. I don't know if anybody else out there is like, oh, Kelmomis is my favorite character. Well, fuck. All right, so I kind of want to segue off of Esmonet and into the cult of Yatwer and Satma. So this is like, Satma's a new character to us. The whole cult was a new thing for me, right? And what it seems like their beliefs are kind of like in the old school in Retheism, right? But they also believe in like earth elemental gods, from what it sounds like. The cult of Yatwer was kind of confusing to me as well. If I'm being honest, most of the stuff I was a little confused on was all the stuff happening back in Iothea or Moment and stuff like that. So anyway, these guys are the ones that are kind of like prophesizing the coming of the White Luck Warrior, which at first I wasn't sure if that was like a symbol of something or if it was an actual person. And then we kind of see that stuff get played out. And it does, to me, it appears like the White Luck Warrior is a person because he's the guy that was like walking kind of mysteriously or whatnot. And then this is the part, I could be completely wrong, but doesn't Satma see him and she's like, it's my brother? Did I just make that shit up? Like I said, guys, you know what I mean? I'm not afraid to have you guys correct me on this shit because I know very well that some of my understandings are pretty loose. So it sounded like Satma's brother is the White Luck Warrior. And I know they do that whole little like crazy ritual with the blood and like blood sex magic ritual deal, which was, it was, you know, only Bakker could really pull this shit off and not make me like completely like be like, this is fucking too goddamn much. Like the way he pulls it off, it is gross and it's dark, but it's also enjoyable to read. Okay, so now I want to jump threads over to the Great Ordeal thread. And this one, we're basically, you know, we pick up with the Believer Kings and we spend more time with them, but mostly with the character of Sorwheel, who's that new character. And we don't really spend a shit ton of time with Kellis. Kellis is in this book, but very little, and he's kind of split in between the Great Ordeal and the Moment threads. But either way, the Great Ordeal, I really dug this like concept of Kellis like putting this army together to go to war against the consult, because honestly guys, it's easy. I didn't know what was going to happen. I did not know what was going to happen in these 20 years. At the end of Thousandfold Thought, you're almost kind of convinced that Kellis might just fucking do whatever the fuck he wants. But the fact that he's waging war against the consult leads me to believe that he truly does believe himself to be the prophet, that he truly does believe himself to be the one person that is capable of stopping the second apocalypse. Like, he's really bought into this shit. So even if he is manipulating everybody at every fucking corner, he's still trying to fucking save the world, right? I mean, it's weird because we've kind of grown to know Kellis as a motherfucker. You know what I mean? As much as he is powerful and just amazing and awe-inspiring, he's a motherfucker. But this motivation of his to snuff out the consult seems to be a good one. So our introduction to Sorwheel is also like our introduction to the Great Ordeal, because we're beginning to see these believer kings kind of in action as they have to go to work, because Sorwheel's father, Harwheel, is the one man denying and defying the Aspect Emperor. So basically, he's just not letting the Great Ordeal into Sercarpus. In the Great Ordeal want Sercarpus. They want the land, and they want the core that they're storing. And so this is obviously, one way or the other, the Great Ordeal is going to get what the Great Ordeal wants. But we see this whole thing play out where Harwheel essentially gets his son to retreat from this whole deal. Like, he tells Sorwheel, like, you're going to be the last sword stroke in this battle kind of deal. And then we see Kellis track down Sorwheel. He takes him into the Great Ordeal, right? As he has done to many other princes and all the believer kings. But this one scene between Sorwheel and Kellis I really enjoyed. In fact, most of the stuff with Kellis and Sorwheel was great, because it does give off those vibes that you get in the Prince of Nothing. It begins to get a little introspective on you, and it really sets in place like this internal struggle that Sorwheel is going to be having throughout this journey. One of the things I really like that Bakker did in this thread is just the communication. Like, when Sorwheel doesn't understand the language that some of these men speak here in the Great Ordeal. The Great Ordeal is made of, it's like a melting pot of men from Yerwa that are just, they're men scattered across the world, all combined now into one force. So I love that Bakker made this communication problem, right? Because too many times in a fantasy world, people travel fucking forever, clear across continent, and they meet a whole nother culture, and then they're just chopping it up. Like, they're understanding and talking, and it's all good. So here, Bakker really hits us with a more realistic approach where these men don't understand each other. They don't understand the language. You know what I mean? There are differences. We are pushing into new territory. Why the fuck would they understand each other? But this is also where we see that Sorwheel is assigned a mandate schoolman so that he can begin to flesh out these new communications. As well as he's assigned a slave that's very interesting. I'm not from what I understand, this slave is part of the cult of Yatwer, correct? And he casted it's like weird kind of clay earth spell on Sorwheel that we see later on when Kellis is kind of calling everybody out. When he gets to Sorwheel, he's the only one that where Kellis is like, you are a true believer. And I'm not sure if that has something to do with the slaves like clay magic or not. I don't know, guys. Maybe you can let me know. Or maybe I'm not supposed to know yet. One thing, though, also I really, really, really enjoyed and look forward to, hopefully, in the next books, are some of these older Anasarimber children. Like, especially Moangus II, I should say, and Cayutis. Man, Cayutis, really grabbed me. Like I said earlier, Bakker has a way of just really creating these like uncompromising characters or just really gripping characters. And I was gripped by Coyotes immediately. I just found him kind of to be a little bit like scary but impressive at the same time. And whoo, man, what made the fucking hair stand up on my fucking arm is like after Sorwheel has, like he's dealing with Moangus and Coyotes, and Moangus leaves, and Coyotes like warns Sorwheel. He's like, "Whoa, you better watch out for my brother." And he's like, "Well, because he's mad," or he's quite mad, is what he says, or something like that. And he was just like, whoo, because really, right during this moment, like Moangus, sure, we know kind of a little bit more backstory on Moangus than Sorwheel does, and we understand that he could be a bit of a crazy fucker, but Moangus really does hold himself like, he conducts himself almost like a gentleman in certain ways. Like he conducts himself in a respective manner. He doesn't seem like a weak-willed or a crazy fucker. He just seems like another believer here in the Great Ordeal. So when he disappears and then Coyotes lays that like, "Oh, he's a madman," line on us, god damn, it's so good. Because also Coyotes and Moangus seem to be fairly close. At least you always kind of see them in succession to one another. So I don't know, man. There's just something about those two that really got my interest peaked. So I hope that we get more of Moangus and Coyotes, because they're probably, besides Mamara, those two were the shining like characters. Well, maybe Cleric as well. But yes, the older Anasarimber children, fuck man, they might be crazy too, but I fucking dig them. One thing I kind of skipped that is in this thread that I really enjoyed, and it's just another one of those like things that it's like another nail in the coffin for fucking Bakker, because he just kills it, man. He kills it with this imagery. The magic in this book, I feel like the imagery was on display harder than ever. And when we see like the Great Ordeal and Kellis rolling up, and he's got like the wards of magic, and they're just like fucking all around him and whatnot. This is the kind of shit I love about fucking fantasy, because it will burn an image into your brain that will stick with you. And certainly that entrance of the Aspect Emperor with all the fucking magic coming off of him, I'll never forget that. All right, so now I want to get into the other thread, the thread of Akamian and Mimara, the Skin Eaters, Silagus. I think it's Silagus. It could be Killagus, or it could be something even else, because fuck me with these like esoteric pronunciations. But that's a good thing. That's another thing I want to say is like Bakker's crazy words and names and shit are great, because they fucking just make this world come alive that much more. These hard to pronounce words only give it like a more authentic feel, really. So yes, they are frustrating at times as you're trying to figure them out, but goddamn, it just makes this shit breathe that much more. So here we are, picking up with our long-lost exile and the only wizard here in the world, Akamian, Drusus Akamian. Now guys, Akamian is a character that I slowly began to love throughout the Prince of Nothing trilogy. He was not my favorite character in, starting out, but by the end, he definitely had his hooks in me, and I was beyond emotionally invested in his character. I felt for him. I wanted him to succeed, all that jazz. So 20 years have gone by, and trust me, before I picked up this book, he was the one guy I thought about the most. What the fuck is Akamian up to? What's he cooking up? You know what I mean? It's got to be some fucking crazy scheme. He must be doing all kinds of shit. In fact, before I picked up this book, I was convinced that fucking Akamian would have a decent-sized cult, like with a following, and that he'd be going possibly to fucking war with the Aspect Emperor. So when I pick up, the Judging Eye, and I find out what old Akamian's been up to, and I find out he's just been fucking hiding out in exile, dreaming for 20 years, well, I was a little mad at first. But, I don't think that I kept that anger, because it all kind of worked out in a way that I enjoyed. So yes, when we pick up with Akamian, he's in exile. I believe he's up in a northeastern kind of territory, hiding out in a tower and dreaming. He still shares Seswatha's dream, but we're also kind of seeing that Akamian is getting a different part of Seswatha's dream. Not so much the same old dream that the Mandate schoolmen conjure up every night. No, now Akamian is actually getting to see the ins and outs of Seswatha's life. Sometimes it seems kind of trivial, but maybe it's not. Now, we also, as the reader, get the bit of information that at some point, this tower that Akamian's been hiding out in was basically, besieged by Shrank, but the Scout Boy came through and cleared them out. So we know that there is some form of a relationship that has already been established between the Scout Boy and Akamian. But this is also where we get Maimara to enter the scene. And when she does, it's kick-ass, dude. I love Maimara. I love this new character. By far the strongest female Bakker character, in my opinion. Because she takes no shit. She won't take fucking no for an answer. She's gonna stand up to the burliest of the burly fucking, scurvy-ridden fucking pirate men or whoever. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what you throw at Maimara, because she's strong enough to withstand the fucking blowback, man. Like, she is going to plant her feet strong and fucking see it through. I love this character. Obviously, I'm gushing. Gush. And you know what I mean? Also, one of the things I love about her is that she is the boot in the ass of Akamian. Like, this guy has been fucking hiding out for 20 years. Fucking sleeping, dreaming. Yes, okay, we can say whatever we want. Maybe I am still a little mad. Anyway. The thing is, Maimara comes and is like, dude, look, what the fuck are you doing? You need to teach me, you know what I mean? Like, quit fucking just hiding out in this goddamn tower. And, she gives him that whole deal where she says, like, she thinks that he's her father. We also know that she is the daughter of Esmenet. This is the first daughter of Esmenet, the one that, we've kind of gotten multiple stories about that was dead, now she's alive, was sold away or given away, all that shit. Well, here she is, in front of Akamian, telling him that he is her father. But then we kind of get the understanding that no, that can't be right. And this is one of the things that is confusing to me. And by all means, maybe I'm not supposed to be fully enlightened on it. But if I am supposed to know at this point, because I'm not so sure, what the hell's going on between Maimara and Akamian? Is she his daughter? Isn't she, or isn't she? Because from what I understand is she thought she was his daughter, but she's not really his daughter. Because obviously you know where I'm going with this, because then we get the seduction scene where, they're having sex. So, I mean, is that an incest scene or is it not? And, like, I'm not asking because, like, oh, I'm going to stop reading these books. Obviously, I had no fucking problem with the Imperials. So you know what I mean? I'm just trying to figure this out because to me, it seemed like that was a miscommunication. He's not her real father, but he's kind of acting surrogate father, so to speak. I know I kind of just went down that fucky rabbit hole. Sorry. So trying to rein it back in a little bit, we know that Maimara is one of the few. We know this is also one of the reasons why she believes Akamian to be her father, but we progress a little bit further into the story and we find out that she's just not only one of the few, that she has a specific special ability known as the judging eye. And this is where she kind of, from what I understand about this ability, is that she can sense the inherent good or bad in someone or something. So she can see, like, the vibes of folks, like your intent and whatnot. Now, Maimara's ability with the judging eye is not the only thing that is kind of hitting us, because at the same time, she's really pushing the fact forward towards Akamian that, hey, stupid, you're a prophet. And all these mundane dreams of Seswatha's that you're having are actually, these are prophecies. Like, you're getting the bits of information that you need. And we know that Akamian has acquired quite a bit of information over these past 20 years. Specifically, he has information that he will need to use to kind of reveal the truth about Anasarim Kellis, that he is a fraud, that he is not a prophet. It's soon after this that we see that Akamian ditches Maimara in the tower and he sets off on his journey to the library of Soglish. Now, this will bring him to an outpost where he meets some scout boy. One's known as the Skinny, Skin Eaters, and this is a ragtag group. And we meet Lord Casoter, his man Cleric, who is a non-man, as well as other interesting members of the Skin Eaters. These are men that are known as the Bitten, and they are fucking rough and ragged. And this is also where we will begin to learn about the slog. So first thing I gotta say, I was so happy to reach this part. I didn't even know I was going to reach this part, but you guys all know, as the fucking Bakker Pac-Mans and hardcores, that the slog of slogs is just a fucking saying that's being passed among us, as Bakker fans. This is just something you get hit at. So as a fresh Bakker fan, you know what I mean, who hasn't reached this book yet, all that slog of slog talk amongst fans, it creates all this curiosity and intrigue, and you're just like, man, I want in on the slog of slogs. Come on, guys. So when I got here, whoo, I was excited. And damn, it's a lot of fucking fun, right? I mean, this is a great chunk of world building. Personally, I enjoyed how the slog has rules and laws and like a custom to it, and there is no love found in the slog. It's very brutal, and it feels real though as well. Like, the rules to it, as ridiculous as they might be, they also seem to have logic behind them. It does make sense in this cruel world that this would be a form of traveling amongst these rough and tough motherfuckers. Now, before we set out on said slog, we also are understanding as the reader that these men, the Skin Eaters, are not charitable dudes. They're not just going to set out on a mission to help people for goodness sake. Nah, they're going to want something out of it. So we also watch Akamian lie to these men, where he's essentially damning them. They're going to die, not directly from this dangerous mission, for just joining up with him as this exile. And in some ways, this is a straight defiance towards the Aspect Emperor, correct? So he's basically leading these men to their doom, and they don't even know it. But what he tells them is, hey, we got the coffers. And this is basically like the Holy Library's treasury. And so this is, like fucking dollar signs are just shining in the fucking Snake Eater's eyes. So they're all in. They're like, fuck it, yeah, let's do it. We want that money. So it's at this point that the race is basically on, because Akamian's trying to reach Ishwal, get the information he needs to kind of pull the rug out from underneath Kellis before Kellis reaches Golgotharoth with the Great Ordeal. So Kellis might not know he's in a race, but he is, and Akamian does, and he's going for it. And along the way, this is, we spend time with these men, that ragtag group, and realistically, several of these characters are very interesting and very sketchy. You know what I mean? Like, Lord Casoter doesn't seem like a very straightforward guy. All these guys are, like I said, they're so rough around the edges, it's hard to put too much trust in them, because they'll surely leave you to die if they have to, kind of thing. And one of the big question marks is Cleric, the non-man, in Cariel. The non-man are great. They're a great, addition to this world. But the fact that, Cleric doesn't remember. He's ancient as all fuck. And Akamian could tell this. But the fact that, Akamian can't place his name anywhere in, non-man history is kind of suspicious and whatnot. But man, in Cariel, Cleric carries around a whole lot of pain and baggage that you just feel as the reader. It shines through, and it hurts. It stings a little bit. And you feel for this character that you know nothing about. That he knows nothing about themselves, essentially. And that's really fucking cool. And once again, a testament to these characters that Bakker can create. Now, along the way, this is also where we see Maimara just won't take no for an answer and isn't going to sit her ass still. No. So she catches up with Akamian and the Skin Eaters, and we see the whole thing play out where she almost gets raped, and Akamian essentially saves her. And we also then get to see some of these rules, laws, ways of the slog play themselves out, which I really enjoyed. Then as we push forward in the slog, we eventually have to take a pretty big detour, because what happens is a blizzard hits, and it's going to take up way too much time to wait it out to get through the path that we were going to take. And like I said before, we're in a race here, and Akamian knows that. So he's desperate enough to take this alternate route that is, it's got a lot of history, and none of that history is good history. Now, this is the part where we enter Syllagus or Killagus or whatever have you. Anyway, so guys, this is kind of one of the other areas I'm a little loosely understanding it all, but from my understanding, so Syllagus is the mountain, but inside of this mountain is a non-man mansion, correct? So it's not like Syllagus is not the mansion, it's the mountain, and it just inside it is this non-man mansion. Either way, we're inside Syllagus, roaming the halls for weeks, from what I understand. So they're in there for a while, man. And this is really, too, like I said in my non-spoiler review, this is really when the Tolkien kind of like vibes really are kicking up. It definitely feels like the Mines of Moria. And when the Shrank, come after them and we get the bash rags and everything, it is, once again, a lot like the Mines of Moria. But it's at the same time, for me personally, it felt so Bakker. You know what I mean? This was Bakker's world. These are Bakker's fucking nightmares coming at you. And god damn, is it good? You know what I mean? And the Shrank just coming at them in fucking mass numbers. It's like, if you imagine it well enough, it creates this level of anxiety in you because you're just imagining these fucking beasts piling up as far as the eye can see. It's just like your doom getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, this is at the same time that we get a goddamn fireworks display put on by a commune and cleric. So these guys are just going to work with the magic, and it is beautiful, destructive, brutal, everything rolled into one, and it is so blasted into my brain. It is fucking great. And it was just like I said, just like imagining all those Shrank coming at you that could build anxiety. Watching these fucking dudes demolish them in waves is kind of inspiring because, and it's not just a commune and cleric, it's also the fucking skin eaters are there fucking slashing, hacking away because that's right, it's a chopper, boys, a real chopper. Yes! I mean, this scene is just fucking bonkers, right? I mean, it's literally like magic, magic, stab, stab, magic, 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 stab, 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 magic, stab, magic, magic, stab. Whew. Oh, man, that was crazy. I'm glad we ran away and got away with our lives, now we got a moment to oh, fuck! Stab, stab, magic, magic, stab, stab. You know what I mean? So like I said, regardless of how much fucking Shrank ass kicking they're doing, they have to flee to fucking, keep their lives intact. And during this whole deal, too, this was interesting for me because we do see a commune gets attacked by, like, a Shrank with a Kore. And I start noticing, like when we were reading through this, is, like, there's a couple of these guys, these Shrank that have Kore with them. And I was like, what the fuck do they... I thought they were just super beyond savage, like, no brains whatsoever. So I'm like, do they know what they have in their possession? Are they, like... willingly bearing these Kore, or are these like fucking attached to them by something else? What the fuck is really going on? Either way, we see our boy, fucking a commune, almost get his ass smoked. And that is a very like moment. Now we'll see our crew basically have to flee deeper and deeper down into Syllagus. And it's not looking fucking good, right? Like, the last thing you want to do is work your way deeper into this death trap, but they don't have much choice. And the one thing really keeping them alive at this point is Cleric just putting on a fucking sorceress show from all holy fucking hell. Now, as we work our way deeper into Syllagus, I have to say, hats off to Bakker for more dark, like, style world building when we get the slave pits, like the ancient slave pits. Ugh. And then also, the bones of the dragon. This shit was fucking awesome to me. To me, for some reason, I didn't know or understand, I guess, up until this point, that the bones of a fucking dragon were made of iron. But the, like, iron bones, like, carcass of the dragon that's left over, oh my god, dude, does that shit, I can just envision it. It was great. It hit me like the way, like, I feel fantasy should, I guess. I don't know if that even makes sense. But this moment it's like one of those epic reveal moments, like, you know what I mean? Can you imagine walking up on a fucking dragon's skeleton? It's made of iron and shit. Like, it's fantastical. Then we kind of roll up into another part that I wasn't so I didn't grasp completely. I know you guys watching this are like, did you get any part of this fucking book, Mark, you big dummy? But I just felt like it was everything that was going on. It's just like, oh shit. And then we get hit with this weirdness, because Cleric, like I said, is a strange character, and not knowing like his memories is, makes him suspect. But then he's the guide here, right? He's the guide through Solages. So it's like, yeah, the guy that can't remember shit, yep, he's the one leading the way. So it's like, it's crazy as fuck, right? And as he's leading the way, though, it's like his memories are coming back to him, and it doesn't make him, it doesn't really put me at ease anymore as the reader. It just makes me worry that much more for our characters. So when we get to this part where Incariol and all of them are resting in this like area, and it seems like another non-man enters the fold, it was confusing to me at first, because at first I thought it was just another part of Cleric. Like Incariol was split somehow, and there was like two versions of him. And I was getting even more confused when the other non-man would talk and everything was echoed. You know what I mean? It was just like, this was that bizarre Bakker shit. You know what I mean? And so I was being a little overwhelmed with confusion during it. And then especially when the fucking ghost like basically goes inside Incariol, right? Like possesses his body. At first I was like, oh shit, yeah, they're becoming one. But then later on, my understanding is that they are not the same person. It's actually the ghost is like a separate non-man king, and he basically possesses Incariol in that moment. However it is, please let me know if you have a strong understanding of this this moment, because I would love to know, or at least I would like to have a steady grasp of it, because I do feel my grasp is fairly loose at the moment. Anyway, pushing forward from that, it's just, yeah, this is pure fucking craziness, right? Now, it's also at this point that Akamian basically wakes up, realizes how deep of shit that they're in, but there's no time to explain it. He's just telling them to fucking run, and they do run, and we just know that something horrible is fucking about to happen, and it's chasing them, and Akamian literally brings the roof down, and this is kind of fucked, because yes, it might have saved them in this moment, but ultimately, it looks like it doomed them, because now you've just basically sealed your own coffin here in the fucking dungeon of all dungeons, so it's not looking good. But hey, maybe sitting and dreaming for 20 years will pay off in a situation like this. Guess what? It does. So some of this information that Akamian has acquired through these dreams of Seswatha is what leads them out of this fucking death trap, right? I mean, and that's cool. I mean, that's one of the things that kind of helped me guide, like, be a little less mad about all that dreaming. It's like, well, fuck, I guess in this situation where they were surely to be fucking, snuffed out, the only thing that saved him is the fact that he was out there, playing fucking Sleeping Beauty for 20 years. But escaping hell still won't be that easy, because a possessed cleric with a non-man king possessing him is bringing hell with him. And surely this is stuff of nightmare fuel, guys. This is where the Dark Souls, fucking Dante Inferno hell just really fucking injects itself into the story and will sizzle the mind. And this is also the scene where we get Mimara and her judging eye power. Her judging eye power like opens up, right? And she's got that tear of God, and that's the thing I kind of missed, I guess, along this this breakdown, is that part where Mimara is staring into the tear of God, and because her power, the judging eye, like lets her know like the inherent like nature of these things. From what I understand, her peering into the tear of God, like the trinket that she sees good, like it is an actual tear from a god. If I'm wrong, fucking comment, okay? But that's what I got from that. So then we get fast forward, and they're fucking running, and hell's coming at them, and Mimara, her power opens up, and she fucking holds up her tear of God, and zoom, right? We get it's just kind of like, whoop. And, this is Bakker, man. He'll do that to you. And there at the end, we see that Akamian, Mimara, and the surviving Skin Eaters have made their way out of Solages. Like, they're out. They have made their escape, and they're safe. They're fucking in the snow. It's blowing. And then right before we cut out, we get that scene where Mimara, she sees somebody, and she's like, oh, it's Cleric. boom. You know what I mean? And so I'm really interested to see how that shit plays out. Cleric seems to be a massively interesting character. I want to, like, my Mara, Caiutis, and fucking Cleric really have my attention. And that's crazy because coming into this, all I wanted was our, familiar characters. So I have to tip the cap to Bakker for delivering something new that I didn't even know that I wanted. But now I'm chomping at the fucking bit to get some more. Bakker Pac-Man. All right. Well, hopefully, guys, this wasn't a complete waste of your time and you found some level of enjoyment, entertainment, knowledge, whatever from it. Like I said earlier, too, if I fucked a bunch of shit up, feel free to correct me. I am not so arrogant and my ego is not so big that I have got to be right all the goddamn time. Fucking blast me if I fuck up, because this is something that I do hold near and dear. I want to be on strong ground when I'm talking about this series because it is something that I cherish, man. I really dig Bakker. He is in my top fucking tier. I have a lot of respect for this story, these characters. They got a little piece of my heart, in them out there. So I fucking respect it. So I will respect all the fucking knowledge coming at me. All right? Come on. Anyway, if you're new, please like and subscribe, guys. It really helps me grow the channel. And if you know somebody, man, enlighten them. Let them know. Fucking truth shines over here, man. We're getting after it. And I will be finishing this series. I just finished up all the books I needed to before I needed to get into White Luck. So guess what, guys? White Luck is the next book I'm reading. The review might take a minute to get out. I don't want to rush it. I want to take my time because I want to get that firm understanding. I don't want to leave the book with so many loose understandings like I kind of feel like I did with The Judging Eye. But another thing that's really comforting is that these books are out, right? I can reread them anytime I want, and I guarantee you I will be doing that. I'm kind of rambling at this point. So anyway, fuck it. Hopefully, like I said, didn't waste your time and you enjoyed this shit because I'm going to keep on doing it. All right? All right, guys. As always, you know what time it is. Peace.